This is the plaintiff, Charles Davis. He says he gave the defendant a deposit on a car he was selling, and after taking it out for a test spin, changed his mind because of some strange sounds it was making. The defendant refuses to return his money till he's blue in the face, and so they are in court to fight it out. He's suing for $200, the amount of his deposit. This is the defendant, James Jones. He says he told the plaintiff about the one problem the car had that he knew about. The guy gave him a deposit, and that was that. Or so he thought. Bottom line, he spent the deposit, which is his right. It's not refundable, and he owes nothing. He's accused of not budging. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $400 for brakes, tires, and an AC repair.
Okay, Charles Davis,
Yes.
You are suing James Jones for $200, the return of a deposit that you placed on a car that you were going to buy from him. And Mr. Jones, you are countersuing him for $400 for repairs that you made on the car, expecting him to go through with the sale. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I considered purchasing a vehicle from him.
Okay.
And,
How did you come across the vehicle?
well, I was going from auto dealer to auto dealer looking for a vehicle to buy.
Okay.
And I just happened to come across the dealership that he worked at.
Okay, now you're an employee of the dealership, right?
That's correct.
But you were going to sell him your personal car?
That's correct.
Okay, and how'd your employer feel about that? That here's a customer who goes over to your employer's lot to look at cars, and then you're selling him your personal car?
Well, my employer is my brother-in-law.
Oh, well, then who cares what he thinks? All right. Okay, go ahead.
Now, originally, he was selling the car for $3,500, so he asked for a $200 deposit. So I gave him the $200 deposit, and
What was the deal, though? You gave him a $200 deposit with the idea that you'd what? Purchase a vehicle when?
well, I told him I'll come back on the 21st of
Okay, and
September.
that was going to be how many days later?
That was only 2 days later.
Okay, and how much were you buying the car for?
Well, he was asking for $3,500.
You didn't negotiate. You were going to buy it for $3,500.
Yes, that's what he was selling it for,
That's
as
the price.
is.
Okay, and
Thank
you come back on the 21st, and what happened? Or do you come back?
No, I don't. I call him up. So on the 23rd, that's when I called him up, and I informed him that I was no longer interested in buying his vehicle
Okay, and why was that?
because I had another vehicle in my driveway that I was willing to fix, which would have been less than
Change your mind. So then you
Right.
told him that, and what did he say?
He said, "Oh, I knew this. I knew you would do this to me." And in response to my request for the refund on my deposit,
You not only told him you're not buying it, but
Yeah.
you said, I want my money back.
yes, exactly. I would like
Okay.
my deposit back.
Now, did you sign anything with him?
Yes, he made out a receipt for the purchase of the vehicle, which states that, in part, that it was a deposit of $200 in cash paid in
Let me
advance.
see what you're looking at. What's the other part say?
Well, the other parts is mentioning that, that it's just identifying what type of vehicle it is.
And saying that you're going to buy it, right?
I considered in buying this vehicle, yes.
You're not considering. I am considering buying the vehicle. It says, I, James Jones, which that's him, agree
Yes.
to sell my 2001 Hyundai Sonata to Charles Davis, deposit of $200 in cash paid, car to be picked up Tuesday, 9/21, and balance due on delivery, and you sign it, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your version on this?
Charles seems to have forgotten a few things. One, he did come into the dealership. It was on a Sunday, which was the 19th. As he was about to leave, I told him that my wife had her car on Craigslist. Was he interested in looking at it? And he said yes. So he, his mother, and his father went outside, looked around the car, and I have the pictures of the car here as it's posted on Craigslist.
Okay.
Looked around the car, and I said, Charles, take the car for a test drive, see if you like the car. I said, there's one problem with the car, and that's the AC is blowing warm. I said, and it needs to be repaired. Under normal circumstances, a person selling a car as an individual sells the car as is. But I was interested, one, in selling the car, two, in making sure that I delivered a car that was in good working condition to him. So he said, well, I heard a noise in the brakes. I said, well, I haven't heard a noise in the brakes, but I have to take the car in to get the servicing on the AC done. So while it's there, I'll get the brakes checked, and if If there's a repair needed, I'll do it.
So you say that to him, and he says to you what? Yes, okay, then I'll take it?
No, he said, well, can you do any better on the car? And I said, not at the price that I'm giving you the car for. He says, would you do it for $3,200? I said, yes, I'll do it for $3,200 if you take care of the repairs. I said, but at $3,500, I'll do the repairs. His mom and his dad said, you should let him do the repairs because he can get them done cheaper than you can.
All right, so then what ends up happening? You think he's going to buy the car.
This is on Sunday. I take the car Monday morning. I had those things done.
Remember, these two receipts show that you paid $300 to get the brakes repaired.
Right, and
you paid
$300 and something.
$347 to get the compressor. You
Put
got
in
to
a
change the
different
compressor.
yes.
And
then they
AC
charge
what?
you.
Recharge.
Yes.
All right, so when you offered the car for sale to him, you had said $3,200 or $3,500 if I do the repairs. I guess
Right.
in your mind you were thinking the repairs would be about $300, and as it turns out, they were $647.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you pay the $647, and then lo and behold, he calls you and says,
He doesn't call me. I call him
You have to
and
call
say,
him.
Charles, where are you? You were supposed to come in today. I haven't heard from you all day. And I left about 3-4 messages on his cell phone before he finally returned my call. And he said nothing about not wanting the car. He said that he didn't have a ride. So I said, Charles, I said, now, if you're going to be here on Thursday, fine. I said, but don't tell me on Thursday that you don't want this car.
okay.
Thursday came, no Charles.
Wait. Don't tell me.
Okay.
He told you I don't want the car.
He says, I have a problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, someone gave me a car. And I said, Charles,
We should all
I
have those
knew
problems.
you were going to do this to me. And I said, I have no intentions whatsoever of returning a deposit. And I hung up because I was very aggravated.
So if the deal says nothing about whether the deposit's refundable or not, does the guy get his deposit back?
Yes, he should get it back.
How come?
Because they didn't say he couldn't.
But he kind of just changed his mind. Does he get his deposit back? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he should get his deposit back
Why?
because I think that you go into something trying to buy something, and if it doesn't work out, you should get refund.
Spoken like a true buyer, going inside the courtroom.
Now, have you put the car back on Craigslist?
I have.
And have you sold the car?
No.
All right. Now, on what theory should you be able to break a contract that you entered into to buy the car and get your money back?
The fact that he failed to mention to me that my deposit was,
Non-refundable?
Exactly.
What did you think it was? Funny money?
I just thought it was a deposit towards
Well, what do you
purchasing
think a
the vehicle.
deposit is? Do you think that a deposit is just like you telling a girl, yeah, I'll call, and then not calling? Like it's free to say I'll call? Like it's not. You're doing something. When you put down a deposit, you force the other person to take it off the market, to hold on to it, and then run the risk that you're going to do exactly what you ended up doing in this case. And in this case, we have an additional problem, which is why you're being countersued. Because he's saying, Judge, I made a bunch of improvements to this car that I would never have invested in if he hadn't told me I want you to do that. That's a condition of me buying the car. Now what are we going to do? Now you got a counterclaim against him, and you want me to order him to do the following. You tell him the difference is 35 or 32, so I'm going to do $300 worth of repairs are worth $300 to him, okay? But you go out, and as it turns out, the repairs end up being $647. So you're a good egg, and you go ahead and do it. But now here you have a car that's worth more because it's had these repairs done, but you want him to pay you the additional 400 and something bucks because you're out that. And I understand your theory, but wouldn't it be unfair then if you get to sell the car to a higher price to somebody else because you have the improvements on the car, and so you get the money from him and then you get the money from the other person? I wish you'd already sold the car so I would know how much you're out, right?
Right.
Well, you're definitely not getting those 200 bucks. That should be pretty clear. The part I'm pondering is the other part. And I think the way I'm going to resolve this is that if it was envisioned between the two of you that there would be a $300 price differential between doing the repairs and not, I'm going to order that you keep the $200. You get to keep that. And I am going to order him to pay you an additional $100 for the repairs that you went through solely based on his entering this contract. And based on this contract, he went out and spent a lot of money. And it's just not right. So you keep the $200 and you pay him an additional $100. That's my judgment.
Thank
Good
you,
luck,
Your Honor.
folks.
in a way, the defendant here benefited from the fact that the plaintiff demanded repairs on this car, but that's the key here. He demanded the repairs. If the defendant just kind of did this and got the benefit of the repairs, he might have to pay for them. But here, it was the plaintiff himself who wanted it, so the plaintiff is going to just have to eat that amount.